And we are live. This is KPC Radio with Behind the Bakery with your reporter, Gabriel O. A series all about checking out the newest blend of California rock from the newest rock group from OC, Pog Champ Bakery. Today, for our final episode of the show, unfortunately, we do have a special guest here. We have the member of the band who goes by the role of the drummer, the man, the myth, the legend himself, according to the other band members, Mr. Trevor Matthew Paul. Trevor Matthew Paul, it's a pleasure to have you here. Can I call you Trevor for the interview?
You can call me Trevor. I don't mind at all. I actually am very happy to be here. Well, I actually have wanted to do this for a while.
Well, honestly, it's a pleasure to finally have you here to be able to speak with you. So, if we could get this show started and just go on to the first question and tackle it. Trevor, really, the main question that everyone would be having for you that I've asked the other band members already would simply be this. What was your story, your origin with getting into this band?
You want to be here for 3 hours?
I mean, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But, what started your plans to start this particular band? Or if even we can tackle a bit of your origin story in a sense.
I'll try to keep the origin brief because I know we're more on the subject of the band we have currently, so I don't want to go too deep down the hole of the past. But I'll go with my father, right? I'm not trying to make a joke. My dad, he was like a semi-professional drummer in San Diego. My dad was earning money off of it. He was living with his band members. My dad was actually was on the radio, for example. My dad made the radio. My dad played a stadium of 9,000 people. He opened for Korn and Blink-182. I'm serious. My dad was a drummer.
Impressive.
Just like I'm a drummer, Except for he was an amazing drummer, and I'm not. But so when I was little, we had instruments around, and then he would try to make me learn. I was 8, 12, but I was never really into it, mostly because it was being forced, so I kind of rejected it. And now I really regret that because I wish I started when I was even younger, I started playing when I was 14. Late middle school,
So you started, you would say, in your late middle school, early high school years when you started taking music more seriously.
I was in 8th grade when I started playing, I think. And when I was 12, I learned how to play AC/DC and stuff like that. My dad showed me, but I didn't really learn, especially taking my own initiative until I was 14. 14's when I started to play, And what happened was, to keep it I'm trying to speed it up a bit. I was 14. I started to play. Because Tommy, the bass player, my brother, he had watched the Beatles documentary anthology, and he got a guitar. He was inspired, and he started playing it. My neighbor John Cisa was a guitarist. He got one a little bit before us, and he was already learning. So I saw them kind of playing together, and I was like, "F it, I'm gonna go play the drums." So I went and I started learning them more, and I talked to my dad. I said, "Dad, I'm finally ready to actually learn, instead of being able to, So then he showed me. And then we played a lot of Blink-182 covers and stuff at the time, and then we got our first show 7 months maybe after we started playing. It was not that great, obviously. We were just little kids, not little kids, but I was probably not even barely starting high school. Yeah, but yeah.
If we can tackle actually your response to that first question, which was excellent, by the way, to start, what already caught my attention is that, first off, you brought up a lot of your early inspirations, or at least what you started practicing with early, were bands, covers from bands such as AC/DC and the Beatles. Would you consider the classic rock era of the 60s or the hard rock of the 80s to be a lot of your early influences?
Definitely, I like the 60s. I gained more appreciation for as I played more, but I was definitely early was really a lot of the 80s rock, Even the 80s, everything 80s, the hip-hop was better, the pop was better, in my opinion, the rock was better, So I really liked that whole, era of music in general. It was an early influence. But then the pop-punk became a big thing only because mostly because the guy who actually knew how to play in the band when we first started it liked it. So we all kind of learned it, and then I like it too. And it's a big part of my drumming today, actually, is kind of in that area, But, basically we played together for about 3 years, and then we stopped. Everyone got jobs and everything. Life caught up, and then I kind of stopped playing. Because I didn't have a band anymore. I would touch it every once in a while, but I really regret it because I didn't play the drums for basically 2 years. I kind of stopped, and then Tommy was talking about a few months ago even that he was kind of wanted to play again, and then I knew Manuel and Andrew at work. And Andrew had approached me, and he was telling me, I went to high school with both of them, but I was never really that close to them,
Is that right?
Yeah, which is weird because we didn't really become acquainted really until we were out of high school. But we were in school together the whole time, I actually worked with Emmanuel at my first job ever in 2020. you know. But then he happened to work a second job with me 2 years later. We both ended up working at the same place again, you know. So it's a lot of weird things had to come together for this band to happen, you know. And I knew he played that. And actually, he would talk about 2 years ago, from like today, basically, he would talk about playing with me. But we never made it happen.
I'm sorry, if we could tackle on that real quick. So before even the birth or the origins of Pog Champ Bakery, there were already plans with early band members to be performing
Manuel
before.
Tamayo, the lead guitarist, was asking to play with me, and we were talking about it 2 years before this band even started.
So this was just a form of destiny. This was always something you guys were definitely always interested in.
It's what partially convinces me there's a bigger picture at hand here, is because of that. You know, and that's just one thing of many. You know, yeah. And then Tommy had been wanting to play, and you know, I was like, I had a lot more free time on my hands. You know, I was really busy with college and everything. Part of the reason why I kind of stopped playing, and then I kind of found myself more free time, so I was really open to the idea, and then. Yeah, I met Manuel 2 years again later working at a different job. And then Andrew, I don't know how we even started with that. I think he would talk about his music and I told him I played, or he knew I played maybe. And then he really wanted to play. And he showed me his little like side band-ish they were doing together, like jam thing he had with 2 other people. And then I was kind of reluctant at first because I was still a little busy. I was like, oh, my drums, I haven't used them in forever. I need to like retune them and put them back together. So eventually I did it. And then I told him one day at work, I was like, all right, I'm good. And I was expecting to kind of push it down the road. He was like, oh, I'll go play with you today then, you know? And then Manuel happened to walk by at the same time. I said, Manuel, what are you doing after work? He said, nothing. I said, do you want to come play? And he was like, yeah. So me and Andrew and Manuel on the same day came. And then Tommy, I told him, I'm going to have 3 people over. Your wish is freaking granted. And then we came here, and then Andrew called up the other guy and became our rhythm guitarist. All in one day, we all met up. And it's funny because even just a few months ago, I literally prayed, because I literally prayed to God. I said, God, I want to start playing the drums in, you know? And I said, I know it's going to be hard unless I have a band, you know? So please give me a band and please give me the motivation to play again. And then here they are.
Fascinating. So I've actually heard this story, I believe, from your brother even earlier in a past episode we had that you could check out on KPC Radio, that you all met on the first date.
Yes,
so this wasn't, aside from you and Manny, which is what blows my mind that I didn't know before, of you guys already having original plans that have known each other before, the whole band themselves really came together on the first date. So it wasn't a process really of getting to know each other one by one.
We fell in like that. Perfectly.
Fantastic. Well, if now we can finally, on that note, to tackle a little bit more of now the band itself and its origin, already learning that you guys met on the first day, would you say that the first day of the jam sessions or the audition process to have already been very comfortable, to have already had a strong chemistry amongst the band members, or do you think that it took a while for the band to get together?
On that day, July 11th, 2022, was the first day we met, and that was one of the best days of my life, I'm telling you. These people, they blew my mind, each and every one of them. They came here, and we met up, and then Nathaniel, the rhythm guitarist, came a little bit later, like an hour maybe late. He was ready. He never met us before. Andrew said, hey, I have people. He bought like a $25 Uber all the way from Anaheim to get here. Didn't know what to expect. He came here with a guitar that half worked, you know, only. And he fell in with us. And when Andrew had his keyboard, you know, and he has his little white guitar over there in the corner. I know the audience can't see it. There it is in the corner.
Yeah, full disclosure, we are actually currently, what your brother described, we were speaking currently in Pog Champ Studios, aka the garage of the band members.
Yeah, this is our space here.
Fantastic,
but yeah,
fantastic.
Andrew showed he had a lot of the initiative for really singing, his bravery, I would almost call it, for the singing, the willingness to kind of reach for those notes, and the willingness to kind of like stick his neck out a little, you know, which has really impressed me. Besides just talent, he's good at it too, you know. But I know that like some people were good at it, but he not only was good at it, he had the drive and he had the confidence to kind of project like that, you know, and to really reach for those like notes and to really go all out.
So would you say that's something that really impressed you when it came to the group, of their passion, their dedication?
Their passion and their skill. And then, of course, their dedication has impressed me, too, because they've showed it day and day after that, you know? And even ever since that one day, we already wanted to do it again the next day. So no one was iffy about it. So the dedication was you know, really nice, even early on. And, yeah, Manuel was, like, an amazing guitarist. Tommy's really amazing bass player. And Nathaniel's an amazing guitarist. Andrew's an amazing keyboard player and singer. And he's doing guitar as well on the side, you know, but he's mainly on keyboard. And then, you know, yeah, I'm really happy with the members I got, and I don't want other members, you know. I wouldn't even want a 6 member unless there was somebody, like, amazing. I wouldn't want to kick out one of them, you know.
Actually, we can talk about something like that. Something that I asked your band member Manny, I believe he's the lead guitarist in the band. It's something that I tackled with him earlier. I want to get from your perspective. You already brought up the idea that you would never consider a 6 member. You know, I think already, if I can just put in my 2 cents altogether, I think a 5 lineup band is already very unique to start with. Perfect isn't is a word for it. But what I find is so interesting is that the classic lineup, as I call it, has always been 3 or 4. Bands like Nirvana had a member of 3. Green Day started with 3. The Beatles famously were a band of 4. Led Zeppelin. What made you think that 5 band members were such a perfect lineup?
It's funny because on day one, Manuel even said something like, "Oh, 5 seems like a lot," But in my mind, even back when I was in my old band, I was younger, playing, I always wanted a 5 because I wanted rhythm guitar, lead guitar, bass, drums, and then keyboard. And keyboard, I wanted, even though it's not the conventional it's still rock and it totally has a place. I really do believe keyboard has a place. It's what makes us different. Nobody's using keyboard out there, it's a thing which is an obvious instrument that everybody knows, but you don't really see it on stages and like that. And and I really like that because 5 people you get you have those numbers. You have 5 people, you can make a lot of really, really full sounds, and it's very, very versatile out of that 5.
I love that you bring that up because with so many bands, I brought up in the last episode with Manuel that I believe the reason for the 5 lineup is you brought up for a lot of experimentation that it seems to be you guys are focusing for. So a lot of bands like Pink Floyd famously had issues with that, which is what a lot of people think led to their breakup when they started experimenting more. But groups even like the Beatles, which you consider as an inspiration, they really just focus on their studio productions for the last few years because they just never consider their music to go live. So would you say that the 5 lineup is almost a way to be able to combat that issue if you guys consider experimenting heavily and trying new things? If you have a 5 lineup band, it's just going to be much more simpler to have that sound on a live stage for a live audience?
That is definitely an important factor we can get is we can actually really show any sound we have in our head. We can picture something going live, and then we can actually do it in reality, which I really do like. And I really like our process of how everyone's kind of on the same page with that. We all kind of know our place, I feel like, and I feel like it's kind of unspoken that we know that this 5 is the right blend for our sound, and I think it's something we all can really feel, and you can put words to it too, but you can definitely feel especially if we're improvising, you can really feel how the 5 does have a place, is what I'm trying to say, during improv, when we're just jamming and making something up on the fly, kind of just feeling out the music, you can really feel the 5 coming into play.
So you definitely don't have any plans in the future to remove a member, even to add another one?
I would not like to. I don't plan on it. If something happened and it had to happen, I would be really sad. But I definitely, I'm not planning for that or hoping for that at all.
Okay, excellent. Well, if we can now start focusing on the production side of the band, which is something that I like to really focus on as well, aside from the origins of it, is, to start with, what would you personally describe the sound of Pog Champ Bakery to be like? Is there a particular sound that you would focus a lot on? I know that Andrew Reese in the band specifically described your sound to be Pog rock. Is that something that you would describe rock. The band sound to be? And if so, can you elaborate on what the Pog rock is?
It's something you have to hear. I know I'm going to sound crazy. You have to hear it. Because you can't, you have to hear the sound. The explanation just doesn't, you can't do justice to what's actually...
It's too powerful of an answer. It's
incomprehensible by mere language, Music is a universal language. But yeah, this idea of Pog rock is a term we kind of made up not pretty recently when we were thinking about this and everything, Because we knew it was going to be a question, and we're very, very different. We're a weird blend, because we come from, I had a dad who was a drummer, a professional drummer. He taught me, or semi-professional, he didn't get to do it forever, But he was a master level drummer. He taught me, But then we have Manuel who came from different backgrounds with different styles, and then Andrew and everybody, So we have this unique background of the way our band assembled is all these different influences. So we have this very creative blend. That isn't. I know it's a fact that when I look at other bands locally, and we've watched a lot of their stuff recently, and none of them really have the similar blend. We definitely do stand out, I think, and it's probably because we didn't all come from the same type of scene. We come from these totally diverse backgrounds. I'm talking from our family, from where we've lived in the past. We've all lived in different areas. Even different states. Emmanuel lived in Mexico. We're not all from the same little neighborhood, from the same music style. We come from these all.
That is something that fascinates me about our band. If I could target that, I didn't get to mention with the others. Me personally, a little background on me, being of a first generation Latin American family. What fascinates me so much of your band that I notice is that just from the lineup, you guys are pretty diverse. No means disrespect, but you come from clearly a white American European background, so does your brother. But then you have members that are clearly from Latin America.
Yeah, 2 Peruvians. Oh, sorry, we have 1 Peruvian, one Mexican, and then 1 half Mexican, half white. half Scottish, specifically. Like some recent Scottish immigrant too, not like you know.
So it's almost like you guys have a European Latin American mix to it.
We're the ultimate band of the Americas.
That'd be the great way I personally describe it. And that's what was that. If you don't mind me asking, was that something that you had planned? You know, with our modern day age pushing for diversity, is that something that you envisioned, or is it just something that happened?
I go off of how much I like them as a person, you know. And I think that I actually like when you look at us, you know, especially when we're on stage and we're doing stuff, and I like that we look different, you know. I wouldn't want us all to five be the same, like, race, height, or, like, you know, size or any of that, you know. But it's not something I would necessarily go out and wait for, because I'm more worried about, like, are they dedicated, you know, and all that. I wouldn't even consider what other people think about, like, our lineup, because I know that what I think, you know, is more important, because I'm the one who's actually have to deal with them every day, you know. So I think that I would rather... You know, I'm glad that we do look diverse, and I think it is really cool because I think that it just makes us look more, you know, we don't look plain. It would look plain if we're all the same, you know. You wouldn't even look recognizable hardly. You blend in with the other members, you know.
Especially with the genre like rock that has historically from the beginning been so diverse, so unique culturally and just production-wise. It's something that I find very fascinating. That it almost, the way you describe me, it almost was a near accident that you just went with. That you guys were so beautifully diverse to start with, 3 different cultures just right there in your face. Yeah. So, and then on that note, something that I noticed just from having this conversation with you is that you definitely have what I once heard someone describe Paul McCartney and with the Beatles have a very corporate manager-like sense when it comes to running the band. Would you describe yourself as almost an unofficial manager of the group with the way you take things, the way you plan things for the group?
Well, what's really strange is like my persona like on stage and dealing with people, especially like with like the band and out there, is very, very outlandish. You know me, you know. And I'm somewhat of an outlandish and a bit of a character, you know. But in reality, I'm very, very... I normally think of things more methodically and in somewhat of a more managerial way, like you're talking about. I wouldn't call myself the manager, because I really think that we all have like a good place. I know that I kind of have had a good amount of like the initiative being taken by myself of dealing with like practice scheduling and things like that. And, you know, maybe a little bit of show scheduling. But then Tommy's also there providing a lot of the transportation, lugging the equipment. Andrew's over there calling a venue, scheduling shows. You know, Manuel's got the recording stuff, you know. Nathaniel's got like a bunch of like the fans he was able to draw. And he is also managing some of our online stuff too. Nathaniel is as well, you know. So everyone has their territory to manage, and it comes together to be one efficient like band bureaucracy in a way, you know.
So you would say that everyone in general tries their best to take the role of the manager, of taking a bunch of responsibilities.
Everyone avoids stepping on each other's toes, you know, and simultaneously is able to be trusted with confidence to do what they're expected to do. I really like these people, and I think we're only going to get better. We've only been together for, I think, our 3-month anniversary, you know, whatever. Our 3-month, you know, to the date was just happened like a few days ago. So we've only been together for 3 months, you know. But we've been playing as musicians like forever, but as a group, you know, 3 months, and I think we're only going to get more efficient from here, because it's just like the tracks are, you know, we're really getting on the track right now, and I can already tell that we've already accomplished a lot. We played like 3 shows, we've already got like part of an album done. Well, we're doing this interview. We have 4 shows lined up currently. You know, we have a lot of writing done. You know, so I think that we're already getting a lot done, and I know it's only been 3 months, so we should only be getting better from here. As musicians, I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna become a better drummer. You know. And a better band member, even more importantly, and they're all going to do the same for them. And then all the stuff we wrote, all the crazy, like how much we've been moving quick, getting our album done and getting our shows planned, we're only going to get better at it and more efficient. And same for the management. They're only going to get better at managing the online presence. I'm only going to get better at, you know, scheduling and doing everything, you know. And aside to being better as musicians, practicing and getting better at your craft, we're going to be better as like the band management side of it as well. You know, better all around. And it's only been 3 months. The efficiency will only get stronger from here if we keep our dedication, which we will.
Fascinating. So if I could just one more question to tackle this whole question of your managerial style. So as you keep bringing up that, I keep hearing that you stress out that because of the experience growing up with your father and even practicing yourself, do you think it's because of your veteran status almost and practicing in music production that you would consider yourself to be very professional when it comes to this group?
I could be, because I know that Manuel is also very, very like he's you know, we can all be funny and all, you know, but he's also very like logical, and we all are, you know. But Manuel's been playing even longer than I was. He started playing when he was like 12, maybe, I think, you know. And he was even probably more professionally trained, because I was trained by like, you know, an actual drummer who was really like in the scene and playing stadiums and on the radio, but he was trained by like, you know, music teachers. He went to school for audio engineering. So it's another thing. We have educational backgrounds, you know, cultural background differences, musical taste. He liked more like the indie and soft rock. I mean, I like a lot of the 80s and like the punk, and then Andrew likes a lot of the punk and some of the hardcore. Nathaniel likes a lot of the classic rock. I love it too, you know. And of course Tommy is kind of similar to me, but we have differences, you know. But either way, I just feel like all together the background does kind of maybe add to the managerial style, but I wouldn't say that I'm particularly unique in any way, you know, because I think that all of us are pretty serious about it, you know. And I it could be because my dad did train me, because my dad had a lot of experience and can kind of show me the ropes a little bit, you know. But it could also be the fact that we maybe are just the right men at the right time.
Excellent. Now, if speaking on when it comes to the sound and the taste that each member has, it is also very diverse. So we can now tackle the musical production side of things. So, as you already mentioned, that each member started with their roots being very diverse. You know, one member of the band, I believe the rhythm guitarist, being obsessed with classic rock and psychedelic rock of the 60s and 70s. You yourself admitting to have a lot of more fascination with the 80s. Manuel, the lead guitarist of the group, having a lot of interest more in the indie or Indian rock.
The soft rock or indie
soft
rock.
Indie rock. Yeah. So, what would you? I know we already talked a little bit of what you already call the Pog rock sound, but what would you describe the sound that the group is currently attempting to focus on as of right now? Would it be that indie rock sound that I believe the other members have brought up before?
We have some like that. We have some that would be called hardcore, like punk. We have some that are like pop punk. We have some that are straight 80s. You know, it almost shows, and then we have these weird hybrids too. You see songs individually sounding punk, songs individually sounding indie. Then the hybrids is probably where we kind of are really kind of getting that unique experimentation in, because you start getting this weird, the lines start to fade because our influences are so like strong and so distinct, yet we have so much in common at the same time.
Is that something that you guys from the beginning wanted to push forward? Did it just come from near just accident of just wanting to really merge genres and attempt new kind of styles?
And on day one, I really was kind of just trying to feel them out, and instantly from after the day, I kind of already started planning ahead, you know. So really kind of early on, I did start thinking about, you know, I was kind of seeing where the chips would fall, excuse me, but I feel like it wasn't necessarily totally planned, but now we're taking better control of where our nature has kind of pushed it, you know. We're taking the reins, and we're kind of seeing, okay, I see like these hybrids, which ones are kind of naturally flowing, you know, and now we're going to take control and maybe set our focus, and you know, right now we like. I guess Pog rock you could describe as a blend of punk, classic rock, and indie. It's probably the best way you can describe it. And it's something which is, you know, it's something which I personally like. I like what we make. You know, then again, I'm part of the guy who made it, so it's not saying much. You know, I like it. So as long as I like it and they like it, I think we'll keep doing it. And I think that the experimentation, like we do focus on what we currently have, which is like blending indie and punk and classic and 80s. But I definitely think that we're definitely going to set the focus into even farther directions. We're already looking at like more world genres of music and crazy stuff, you know. But seeing how that can even be implemented in what a regular rock and roll way, you know. So but yeah, to answer your question, I do think that there's a lot of experimentation, and we definitely are taking control of that. And we do set directions, and we're currently focusing on what we have kind of already brewed. That indie punk thing is our focus ish, but it's definitely branching. There's different little seeds planted everywhere.
Fascinating. To target more on when it comes to the musical production side, if we can tackle more on the topic of performing live versus studio. Now, one of your early influences being the Beatles. The Beatles famously, halfway during their career, decided to stop touring and focus more on the studio production side of things, whereas a lot of their iconic albums came from. Do you see Pog Champ Bakery being focused more on the studio production side of things, or being more of a live group where you guys really want to experiment more things when it comes to performing live? So I guess in a sense, I would really describe it as, do you guys consider yourself to be more of the Van Halen band or to be more of the Pink Floyd kind of band?
I would say that I really I believe the balance of the two, because that's how you really show progress and you don't fall behind in one area. We've definitely been doing a lot of live, but since we meet up so often, that hasn't caused us to necessarily neglect our recording area. I would say we probably have focused more on live, but I and them have been kind of looking to shift the focus more towards maybe like a majority in recording and less on live. We still have about 4 shows lined up out till December. There could be more added, you know. And I'm gonna keep doing them, but as long as we're still recording, I'll be happy. I want to do both, and I want to primarily make sure our recordings are really great. Because to me, the point of going live is almost a form of promotion. Because why go live? Like, yeah, we go live, but every time we went live the last time, people have asked for our recorded stuff. And we don't have the album out yet, you know? So the point I'm trying to make is basically, yeah, I like live. But I feel like that the recording being out, at least having one album out, which we're reading out like late 2022, maybe early 2023, but we're shooting for December. That'll give more merit to kind of going live because we'll have stuff to leave the audience. You know, all you heard us today, here's other stuff, you know.
Excellent answer. So you definitely would say right now, despite you being mainly a live group, you definitely have plans in the very current future to be focusing on more of the studio work side of things, to be able to promote your stuff live.
In fact, in the other room right now, them four are recording right now while you and I are talking. Them four are recording our originals right now.
Are they recording the album that you just brought up that you plan on releasing later?
The album is being recorded as we were speaking.
Fantastic.
It shows you the efficiency. Me and I are talking, they're recording the album.
I love it. You guys really, from what you are describing, it really sounds to be a multitask kind of group. Well, if we can focus more on the live subject, if we can just tackle that one. Your first show. So, the other members of the band, with the past episodes that I've interviewed them in, that you could check out on KPC Radio, they mentioned the fact that you guys performed in just 2 weeks of the band's conception to where they were performing live. That is true, then. You can confirm
Our first show was July 27th. It was almost August, but it wasn't quite. It was late July. And we started July 11th, so yeah, about 2 weeks later we played a show.
And where did the show take place, if you don't mind me asking?
It took place in the keyboard player's backyard. and he was purposely trying to keep it somewhat like small, because we were just kind of like testing the waters a bit. And I was at the time a little bit skeptical going so live so early, but we were all doing good and we didn't sound bad, you know, and we were like, well, I guess, like, you know, we could do it, you know. It's only 2 weeks, but why does it have to be so? Why do we have to be skeptical of that? You know, so I was like, okay, I'm open to it because I was confident. You know, I played live before in my other bands, you know, and I was like feeling confident in my members, so I felt that there wouldn't be an issue with playing in 2 weeks. At first, I was skeptical, I was like, oh man, like, you know, but we should, you know, we need more time to rehearse. But it's like, no, it's part of who we are. It shows our efficiency and our speed. So 2 weeks in, boom. Next step. What's next? And we never just sit there and be, oh, what do we do next? We always have a plan ahead, and there's always a goal to work towards. That's how we get better. There's always something to shoot for.
So you would definitely say that in the beginning, before deciding to perform live, you were definitely the most skeptical of the group. That you thought maybe you need more time to practice. That you guys weren't ready yet, but you eventually grew into it instantly.
It's more so not out of my lack of confidence for the members of the band. It's more so because of my perfectionist attitude. But if you sit around being a perfectionist all day, you're never going to get anything done. You know, I'm a strong perfectionist. I really do believe, you know. But if I had to, I'm glad I have people like Andrew that are really pushing stuff and really kind of almost like taking leaps before we, you know, like are taking our baby steps, you know. And I kind of like that because it's a good counterbalance. It shows our diversity in our band, like intellectual diversity and everything. I'm a bit more like methodical. Okay, let's get these down. Let's get this, you know, and keep working. And Andrew's like, okay, yeah, but like, let's go play live and go put out what we have so far, and then keep working, you know. And I like it because it makes it a really good blend.
So you definitely would describe, claim that the different strengths and passions of the other members is what really drove you to get so comfortable to be able to perform live.
Their weaknesses are picked up by our strengths, and my weaknesses picked up by theirs, you know. And then the other way around, our strengths are only amplified by theirs, you know. So, well, of course we have weaknesses, and we're gonna, you know, everyone does, but we're working on them. And I would say that our weaknesses are definitely very much so cushioned because we have 5 people and we have 5 good people, more importantly.
Fantastic. Well then, if we can get back to focusing a lot on that first performance, you know, taking place in the keyboard player's, Mr. Reese's backyard, would you describe that wild show, as you said, to be something that you performed for the locals, or was it something more of a family-friendly event, something more of a cookout, asada, as a lot of us Latin immigrants would describe it? How would you describe the setting of that show?
Andrew's family, we got some of his cousins and such over there. They cooked food and sold it. It was actually a fundraiser, actually, for one of his like ill relatives, you know. And we went in there. Andrew, it was mostly Andrew and Nathaniel's crowd, the rhythm and the keyboard player, you know. And they kind of invited about roughly like 30 people, and surprisingly the people who said they would show up did show up, you know. So we set up, and I brought my lights, my fog machine, and all my stage equipment, and we put up, and then we played, and then we did well, and it really kind of strengthened my confidence because I was like, okay, I was skeptical a little bit about it, but I wasn't skeptical leading up to it. I was ready to go all out. And we took risks during that show. We actually, you know, played it out, and we didn't sit back there. We played it with confidence, and the crowd enjoyed it. There was, people going crazy in a little backyard full of only 30 people. But it was a pretty wild show. Dust
Only
being
30
kicked up
people.
in the air. Yeah.
Sounds like the first concert of the Sex Pistols. If you guys didn't know, the very first show the Sex Pistols ever performed in the early 70s was actually, I believe, a crowd of exactly 30 people. That was recorded, so that's fascinating. That started like that. But speaking on groups like the Sex Pistols, what just completely threw me off guard is that the other members have brought up the idea that if this was the first performance was originally in the backyard of a band member. No one ever told me that there was a professional equipment brought up there. In my vision, I just had it as you guys literally just performing with your instruments in the backyard.
Well,
you brought a fog machine?
I used to have two. I only have one working though. I brought a fog machine and like 2 lights. It wasn't much, Plus we got lights streamed up above us too. It wasn't that professional. It was like the.
But there was definitely what I would describe as an attempt to be semi-professional.
Yes, there was
for
an attempt to actually make more theatrics going because I strongly believe that we're a band, but more importantly we're entertainers, We're there to entertain, and lights and fog are part of the entertainment, Our sound is fine and it's good, and we'll only get better. And I think our entertainment and our theatrics will only get better too. I want to get more fog. I want to get more lights. I want to do all that,
So that's just go full hair metal, man.
It's really important. It's like the spice in food, Okay. It's a little speck, but it adds like so much, So
excellent. If we can talk a little bit more on that, because that fascinates me so much. Were the other band members skeptical when it came? Was it you in particular, I should even say, that had the idea of going very theatrical, even for the first show? Or was everyone on board and had already the vision of, let's not just make a backyard show for family members, let's really blow their minds as much as we can?
I think that everyone was pretty open to it. No one tried to shut down the idea of, Most people were enjoying it. I think that Tommy might have thought that it wasn't necessary, but he definitely wanted to do it, But I think that I definitely, everyone is okay with it, everyone agrees with me. However, I think that I'm more of, I think that I emphasize the importance of it more than some of them do. But I think that we all realize the importance. But maybe I read too much of it, think, the lights and fog. I know the music is the majority, but I feel like the flavor and those little extra things add a lot. And I think they agree, but I might be too into it, I don't know.
So you definitely think that you are the member of the group that pushes a lot for when you're live up there. It's not just simply what I call the naked, just ground roots, just the live instruments and live group. You definitely want to go for what I describe the Queen effect that in the 70s Queen brought up famously for them going for what we call now glam rock. So you're definitely going for a more glamorous, theatrical side for the show. So it's more like it's not just the band performing live. It really is like a full-on show, full-on production.
Andrew, for example, and I think it adds to with the feel, because we all feel it better when the lights and fog, and it makes us play better, and the audience feels it better. So I would suppose, yes, I do kind of push for not necessarily too much glam, because I'm so into the music. The music and is like the important part. But I think that it makes the music more palatable and more enjoyable if there's other visuals going on, which is why I like when the members move on stage. It doesn't help make your playing sound any better. If anything, it can even almost hurt you if you're trying to do too much fancy stuff on stage. But it adds a lot to the actual experience of the entertainment, which I'm saying the entertainment. That's what we are, entertainers. We're a band, but we're entertainers. We're there to entertain. You can be a magician, a juggler, a comedy guy, whatever you want to be. But they're all entertainers. A band, we're all in the same field. But yeah,
art is art. Fascinating. I love that answer. But in that, speaking now already, when it comes to your focus on the theatric side of things, trying to really focus on the band being as professional as they possibly can. It seems to be from what you described that you have an insane passion, at least when it comes to this band, not just for music altogether, in this particular group and what you guys are doing. So you guys have already been a group for about 3 months, correct?
Yes.
The 3-month anniversary's passed. Congratulations on that. For the next 5 years, do you still vision yourself to be part of this group and to be pursuing even bigger feats for going for a more national, maybe even global audience in the next 5 years? Or do you consider yourself just venturing into other groups, maybe quitting music altogether and trying other career fields? What is your plan for the band Pog Champ Bakery in the next 5 years?
I have an intense fire burning inside of me. and it cannot be quenched, and this band is something I enjoy doing. It takes up time, takes up money, takes up the mental effort, but when you have an album done and when you finish the show, then you see the actual results of your effort and your time and your money, so I enjoy it, and as long as I enjoy it, as long as they enjoy it, I'll keep doing it. I got my degree in history recently, and I'm gonna keep going to college for that. I got my A. I'm going for the bachelor's now. And I'll keep doing that. However, my life is pretty much going to be a couple things. I'm going to have that and this band, and that's pretty much it. No relationships, not much friendships other than these guys. That's how I see it now. I'm going to have I want to read more. I want to read history. I want to read the Bible more. I want to read I want to get more knowledgeable in general, read about music more, you know? I want to try to cut back from nonsense entertainment and focus more on, like, you know, intellect, more brain-feeding entertainment, you know? And I really think that in 5 years I would be in this group as long as they'll have me and as long as they want to be in the group, you know? And I would see us being, in 5 years, I practice, and I want to practice even more. I practice about 3 hours a day, some say get 4 or 5, you know? And I want to do more. I know it seems crazy, you know, but I want to, like, I know I don't want to get burned out, but I don't think I will because I have passion. And I do it when I feel like, oh man, it takes so much, it's so hard to do this, you know, I always get it though. If I keep trying, I always get it. And they're what makes me want to keep trying, you know?
Fascinating.
Yeah, so in 5 years, yes, I'll be with them, and yes, we'll be bigger, and yes, we'll be better in 5 years.
If I can just tackle one more question that I got for that, because I had no complete idea at all of the fact that you have already not just been pursuing college education while being part of this group, but have already even gotten your associate's degree in history.
Yeah.
So you have been still pursuing education while going for this group. Is there still plans in the next 5 years while performing with this band to continue pursuing education? Do you think if this band even succeeds in the next 1 to 2 years that you would give that up altogether and go full on into the music industry?
Well, the trick is, which is one thing that's on my mind now, I got my A in that, you know, that little 2-year break I took when I wasn't really playing drums much. I didn't have much, you know, part of it because I was getting my A, you know, and I was busy with work and that, which already adds up to a lot. But of course, I know now if I use my time efficiently, there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do education and music if that's still pretty much the only 2 things I have at all in my life. You know, I should be able to still do hours into both. So, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and if this band even got successful in a year, I would probably still do that, you know, do my education. Because I definitely want to have something to fall back on. Even if for some reason I was going to live off this, you know, I don't want to. It's not going to last forever. You could burn out by the time you're 30, no one cares, or you could, you know. And also, I love history and I love history teaching. And there's 2 things I pretty much love doing. I like playing the drums, and I love history, you know. And so yeah, I would 5 years from now. I don't know if I want to shoot higher than a bachelor's, you know. So I maybe 2 years from now I should be done. Get a job, maybe teaching, and then do this all night and all evening and every weekend, you know, and then I'll keep going and going. And, yeah, we'll see where it goes. In 5 years, I'll definitely be with this band. In 5 years, I'll have my degree. I'll probably not be going to college still, but I'll still be in this band, you know.
Fantastic. Mr. Trevor, it's been an absolute treat to have you here for our final episode of Behind the Bakery with us tonight. Before we end, is there anything you'd like to promote or plug in for your own personal work that's coming out? Any work that the band has to be planning? I know you already mentioned they have shows coming up, they work on an album. Is there any other projects that you'd love to plug in for our audience at KPC Radio?
Come to the Redwood in downtown LA, December 16th, 2022. We have a show. Album coming out soon. And on top of that, expect big things. Let me tell you that. Yeah, I think that if, you know, when this album drops, if you can come see us live, I want to see you there, you know. And if anyone, you know, wants to come see us, I'm open. And if anyone wants to listen to us, I'm more than happy because that's why I do it, you know. So yes, I'm just saying we got shows, we got albums, and there'll be more after that. There'll be a second album, there'll be a third album. There'll always be something for you.
Fantastic. Trevor, I'd like to thank you once again for being on the show with us again with the final episode of Behind the Bakery. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the final episode of Behind the Bakery with your reporter, Gabriel O, signing off, and you have a lovely day.